Welcome to Liberty Watchtower, your front row seat to the pulse of American politics. Here, we cut through the noise to bring you sharp, timely updates, in-depth analysis, and bold commentary on the issues shaping the nation. Whether it's breaking news from Capitol Hill or grassroots movements making waves across the country, Liberty Watchtower keeps you informed, engaged, and ready to think critically. Subscribe and stay tuned. Freedom starts with awareness.
Back to you.
All right, let me go.
Eric.
So, Caroline, Madam Press Secretary,
You can call me Caroline.
Thank you, Caroline. Over the weekend, the White House Correspondents Association had their gala, they had their dinner, and Alex Thompson from now Axios, prior to that Politico, didn't really apologize, but came forward and said we, quote unquote, missed the story of Joe Biden's demise, his health demise, his cognitive demise during the 4 years. Jake Tapper has written the book since President Trump was elected that they missed the demise of Joe Biden as well. Fast forward to this lawsuit with CBS, right? So the media, legacy media, has not been held accountable. Will this lawsuit with CBS go to fruition? In other words, I would love to see it go to trial so that we can see, so they can be held accountable. Additionally, will the New York Times be enjoined into that lawsuit? Because the New York Times has already stated that they agree with CBS. And Trump has said maybe we're going to sue the New York Times as well. And as a follow-up to all this, and it really does dovetail because it's not just left-leaning media, Fox News. Fox News put out a poll. I'm a statistician. The poll they put out was wildly biased against President Trump. Will Fox sue Fox? Will Trump sue Fox for their methodology in polling?
In the evolving landscape of American politics, media credibility and accountability have taken center stage once again. Recent remarks made by a Trump campaign spokesperson addressing the press from the White House or a similar forum have reignited a heated debate over the role of mainstream media in shaping public perception, particularly around President Joe Biden's health and cognitive fitness. The comments followed the White House Correspondents Association dinner, where a journalist was ironically praised for reporting on Biden's alleged mental decline years after, according to Trump allies. The public had already begun raising those concerns. The exchange underscores growing frustration from the Trump camp and conservative circles about what they view as selective reporting, deliberate omission, and institutional bias by legacy outlets like the New York Times, Politico, CBS, and even Fox News. Specifically, the conversation touches on the media's apparent failure to adequately cover or even acknowledge early signs of Biden's mental and physical struggles during his first presidential campaign and into his presidency. Trump's team argues that this failure wasn't due to a lack of evidence, but rather a political choice to suppress damaging narratives that could have undermined Biden's candidacy in 2020. Adding fuel to the fire, legal action may be looming. The Trump campaign has announced its intention to pursue a lawsuit against CBS citing misinformation and defamatory coverage.
Two great questions. Let me hit the first one first. As for CBS and the White House Correspondents Association dinner, it was laughable. They gave an award to a journalist for talking about Biden's mental incompetence. He wrote a story about it years after the American people knew that story to be true. Didn't take much, just 2 eyes and 2 ears to realize that Joe Biden was completely inept, was unfit to serve as president of the United States. And nobody in the legacy media, nobody in this city wanted to talk about it. In fact, I recall being on President Trump's campaign and calling out Joe Biden's cognitive decline. And we were accused of manufacturing deepfakes. My predecessor accused us for manufacturing deepfakes from the White House podium when she knew and everybody in this White House knew the true status of Joe Biden's physical and mental fitness. And the mainstream media allowed that cover-up to take place because they refused to dig for the truth. They tried to get the American people not to believe their own eyes. It is truly one of the greatest cover-ups and scandals in American history. And again, this is why we are welcoming independent journalists and social media influencers and content creators into the White House with open arms, because all of you in this room and many of your colleagues in independent journalism talked about this online. Nobody gave you credence as far as the legacy media is concerned. And now they host cocktail parties where they're applauding each other and patting each other on the back for uncovering the truth. It was years later, and it's truly sad to see. But again, that's why we're making much needed and long overdue changes. As for the lawsuit against CBS, the president and his legal team fully intend to carry this lawsuit forward. The president put out a very strong statement in regard to that and fake news CBS this morning. And then as for the Fox News poll, president's right. These are fake polls. They overpoll Democrats. They underpoll President Trump's supporters. It's always been the case for media polls. They consistently underestimate President Trump's support amongst the public. That's why we don't really blink when we see them, to be honest with you. We're staying focused on the mission and moving forward. The president knows everything he's doing is exactly what he promised the American public he would do. And if you look at the key issues in the polling, the president is still ahead because Americans know he is delivering on them, on those issues for them. And if you look at the methodology, you're right. They're overpolling Democrats, underpolling Republicans. It's a clear-cut case of fake polling, no doubt.
If I may, also misinformation, though, right? And maybe as detrimental to the presidency as what CBS has done or the New York Times is doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt about it. The president's spoken quite strongly about it, and I know he's made some phone calls to express his displeasure with it as well. Carolina, go ahead.
Speculation also surrounds whether the New York Times could be added to that legal effort, after the outlet reportedly aligned with CBS in its coverage. At the same time, even conservative networks like Fox News have come under fire, not for what they said, but for how they conducted polling. Trump allies allege that polling methodologies are being weaponized, with polls intentionally skewed to underrepresent Republican support and paint an inaccurate picture of public sentiment. In this tense media environment, the Trump team is making a clear pivot, elevating independent journalists, influencers, and alternative media sources while declaring war on what they view as a corrupt legacy press establishment. It's a strategy rooted in grievances going back to 2016, but it's now being formalized through lawsuits, public shaming, and calls for structural change in how the public gets its information. This moment is not just about one lawsuit or one bad poll. It's about a broader political realignment in how news is created, consumed, and trusted in America. As Trump pushes toward the 2024 election, the battle over media integrity is becoming just as critical as the one for votes.